Question that I'm sure many of you have thought about, and I'll ask it to you now. How many of you have heard that drinking fluids is going to keep your core body temperature down? Right? So I'm assuming that just about every single person on this call at some point has heard that. I know that when I first got into triathlon, I heard that. And I know that until I went to graduate school, I absolutely believed that. I now know that's absolute BS. It just isn't going to happen. Right? So let's talk about that more. Right? So hydration and heat stress, zero scientific evidence that shows the consumption of water or any other fluids has a significant impact on core body temperature, right? And when I say significant, a 0.01 degree change in body temperature is not significant. A 0.1 degree change in body temperature is not significant, right? If we're going to drop it 2 degrees, that's significant, all right? So an athlete's metabolic rate and the intensity at which they are racing or training, that's what's going to determine the core body temperature. Right. So what is your metabolic rate? What's your, how hard are you going? That's the big question. That's going to determine heat stress. So when we look at hydration and reducing core temperature, let's think of it this way, right? So if you're out, on the bike, on the run, wherever it is in the middle of an event, and you're going, holy cow, it is unbelievably hot, and you get to an aid station and you grab a bottle of ice cold water, right? Let's assume that it's straight ice cube. Right. And you're like, I'm going to chew up some ice and I'm going to drink that down. I'm going to swallow it because that's, frozen water and that's going to cool off my body temperature. That kind of makes sense on the surface. I'm sure everybody would agree with me on that. But if we look at the human body and we say, yeah, you're 70 miles into, Ironman, Arizona, and the temperature is going up as the time goes by, and your body temperature is already getting pretty warm. You're hot. You're not comfortable. And you're going to grab some ice water and dump that into your system. Here's an example of what you're doing. If you dump those 3 ice cubes into that pot of boiling water, how long do you think it's actually going to reduce the core temperature or the temperature of that pot of water? It might do it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds in a very, very small area, right? So imagine that your body, as you're continuing to race, as you're continuing to train, you're continuing to generate body heat. Right? Just because you grab a bottle of water doesn't mean, oh, hey, check it out. We're down to 0. We're going to hang out here for 10 minutes. If you do that, then body temperature is going to drop, right? Not because you're drinking water, it's because you stopped, right? So if you imagine dumping, half a water bottle of ice cold water into your system, it feels good. It really does, right? And when you're hot, drink cold water, absolutely. And your best bet is mildly cold water, but drink some cold water. It's refreshing mentally. It feels good. It brings you back in the moment, right? Go ahead and do that by all means, but keep in mind, it's not chopping down the core body temperature, right? So I can put those ice cubes into this boiling water, and yeah, sure, for 10, 15 seconds, those ice cubes are absolutely cooling off what you would think it's cooling off. But what happens is your body is continuing to generate heat. What's happening is the flame under this water pot is continuing to keep the heat up. It simply isn't going to do a significant amount of cooling. All right. So that's kind of a more, user-friendly version of why is core body temperature not really getting reduced by drinking water.